I don't think people can hear me. Hopefully now they can. Oh, here we go. Yo, you're live. The joys of live streaming. I'm talking to myself. Oh my God. Well, I do that every week on the Sound Off, right? One man show. I'm pretty much talking to myself anyway. Here we go. Here we go. Hit the Chicago in the chat, please, if you could hear me. I am the Solomonster. This is your Thanksgiving Eve AEW Dynamite review for November 27, 2019. From Chicago, type in CHICAGO in the chat. I was just saying to myself, since apparently nobody else could hear me, Chicago has been the place to be this week. Had a whole bunch of wrestling events. I think SmackDown on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Believe SmackDown was also in Chicago. NXT TakeOver. You got 2 War Games matches in Chicago. You had Survivor Series in Chicago. You had Monday Night Raw in Chicago. And now you have AEW Dynamite back at the Sears Center, the site of All In, the site of All Out. What's going on, guys? TGV in the chat, Sean Hawk, Jason. Oh my God, it's going too fast. I can't read all the names, but welcome everybody who is joining me here on Thanksgiving Eve. Do you realize that Thanksgiving Eve used to be, when I was a kid, Thanksgiving Eve was the Survivor Series tradition. Actually, originally, I think it might have been Thanksgiving Day, but it became the Thanksgiving Eve tradition. On a Wednesday night, you'd watch the Survivor Series on pay-per-view. That was always the fun thing to do. I miss those days. I do miss those days. I do miss the old Survivor Series tradition. Now everything's on a Sunday. It's all very sterile. Where's the fun in that? Where is the fun in that? Laxus Dryer, thank you for the $4.99 Super Chat. Who was that attacking Cody? Oh, I'm glad you asked because I'm going to be getting into that here in just a second. First, let me just say polls are open. If you would like to vote in the polls at Solomonster on Twitter, you can vote in the NXT poll as well, not just the AEW poll. But if you did tune into both shows, I know some people do the dual viewing. I can't do that. I got to be focused on one show so I can review them accurately. But you can go vote in those polls now. And I will flash the results a little bit later on. We'll get to that. And Super Chats, as you can see, a lot of them are already streaming in. They are open, including the $10 or more Russo on a poll Super Chat. I added a few funny ones tonight, too. So if you do donate, thank you very much. I appreciate it here this holiday season. So we kicked off here tonight with what was easily the best segment on the entire show, which is always kind of a shame when you peak early with the best segment on the show. Which is not to say I thought tonight was a bad show. I didn't think it was the strongest episode of Dynamite. It kind of felt like we were in holiday mode, kind of. I enjoyed the show. I thought actually it was a very good show overall. Just not one of the, what I would consider to be one of the best ones they've had. Low-key, thank you for the $10 Super Chat. Says, Happy Thanksgiving Eve. I am celebrating Thanksgiving Eve with all of you. It's one big party here tonight, so thank you for that. And King Brawl, or King of Brawl 3000, thank you as well. So we started with Chris Jericho's Thanksgiving Thank You Celebration for Le Champion. I hope I pronounced that right. This was an amazing segment. And you know it's going to be must-see when it opens with Virgil and a live microphone, which is exactly what we got tonight. We got Virgil, well, they call him Soul Train Jones. I guess legally they can't call him Virgil. Soul Train Jones called this the greatest night in television history. They had a marching band out there, people in giant inflatable costumes, gifts inside the ring. The band played Jericho down to the ring. You know, watching all the inflatables made me kind of miss the wacky wailing inflatable tube men that Bayley murdered a few months ago on TV. Going back to NXT, I was always a big fan of the wacky wailing inflatable tube men. Very sad to see them go. So Jericho comes down, got loud chants from the Chicago crowd of "Thank you, Jericho," which he quickly shot down. He told the fans to shut up, and they booed. Or at least some of them did. He had a little bit of the bubbly with him. He tells everybody, hey, look underneath your seats, look underneath your chair for a discount coupon for 50 cents off one of his new t-shirts. And it looked like they were legit. A lot of fans they showed on camera holding up these discount cards like it was the best day of their lives. Hey, in some cases it might have been. He then revealed that he now has his own bubbly, which is also a very real thing. I saw the press release. He and Stephen Amell, Cody's friend, what was he, Arrow? Is that the old TV show he was on? Was it just Arrow, or was it like Black Arrow? I think it was Arrow. Anyway, Stephen Amell and Chris Jericho teaming up to sell their own bubbly. All from one stupid throwaway line in a YouTube video. That's how this all came about. I mean, I guess he lifted it from Dumb and Dumber, but all from one just completely off-the-cuff remark that he made. It didn't even air on pay-per-view when he won the championship. It was in a YouTube video when he got to the back. And a few words later, he's got a t-shirt out of it. Now he's got his own bottle of wine out of it. It's kind of like AEW. Cody trademarked the name Blood and Guts, possibly to use for a pay-per-view next year. And that is, of course, from the remark that Vince McMahon made on that one WWE stockholder call where he was asked about AEW, and he said, well, the Blood and Guts, I don't think TNT is going to like that very much. So they went and they trademarked the name for possible usage. And I said on the podcast on Sunday, wouldn't it be a kick in the ass if AEW found a way to actually make money off that one stupid Vince McMahon remark? That's how some of the best things come about. They just hit you like a bolt of lightning. You don't plan for it. You don't script it. You don't force it. That's how things go viral. It just happens. Now he's got his own bubbly. Told fans to go to littlebitofthebubbly.com, and I checked, and I couldn't see anything because the website crashed. So that didn't take very long. Oh, I'm sorry, I was corrected in the chat. Dumb and Dumber. What did I say? Didn't I say Dumb and Dumber? I thought I said Dumb and Dumber. Maybe I named the wrong movie. Anyway, that's where the line originally is from. And Jericho has just, he's popularized it all over again. So the website crashed, but apparently pre-sales are underway for this bubbly. You can order packs of 2. They're charging you $46. You can get 3 for $69. 6 for $138. Or, if you are a big fan of the bubbly, you can get a dozen bottles for $276. So if you have a lot of expendable income and a drinking problem, there you go. You can get a dozen bottles. They're all yours. So he and Virgil shared a toast. They drank some of the bubbly together. No Olive Garden breadsticks, though. Very disappointing. Jericho invites the rest of the inner circle out. They each present him with gifts of their own. They came bearing gifts here on the show. And Sammy Guevara gifted him a cardboard cutout of the two of them hugging. Santana and Ortiz presented him with, I think that's what they called it, I don't know if they called it this, or maybe this is what I'm calling it, the Boricua gift basket. I think there was a Vicks Vapor Rub that Ortiz was showing him in there. He mentioned it is flu season. We don't want you to get sick now. A pair of flip-flops, which they pointed out Jericho could use as a weapon. I'm sure that would be Matt Riddle's weapon of choice. Wouldn't be my first choice, but whatever works. They also gave him a little bit of the 40 in a brown paper bag, which got chance of 40 from the crowd. And finally, they placed a headband on his head with the Puerto Rican flag on it, which was comical to see Jericho in this thing. So now Jericho's looking around. He goes, well, there's somebody missing. He goes, where's Hager? Where's Jake Hager at? Where's my boy? And all of a sudden we see Hager. He's in the back of the building. He's walking out, and he has a goat, an actual goat. And he's got a microphone. Now the goat wants no part of this segment. He's got his ass to the camera. He's trying to get to the back. Hager is trying to hold on to this goat. He's trying to drag him out. It's just not working. And Hager on the microphone goes, look, Chris, I got you Chris Jericho. At least they didn't set the pyro off next to this friggin' animal. I could do without the farm animals on TV in the future. That goat wanted to be anywhere but out there in front of that crowd. That goat looked terrified. So back in the ring, they cut away real quick. Clearly this wasn't going to work. This worked about as well as the Dobermans. Remember the Kennel from Hell? I mean, how could we forget? Kennel from Hell in WWE. The whole idea, you had the cage, the Hell in a Cell over the blue bar cage, Al Snow, Big Boss Man. And the whole concept was you got to climb out of the cage, but when you climb out, you got these angry dogs that are going to be down below. They're going to rip you to shreds. And what happened? The dogs wanted no part of the match. They were too busy peeing in the corner. Animals don't cooperate. There's two things in particular that you really can't rely on to cooperate on live TV in situations like this. One is a live animal, whatever it is, a dog, a goat, a tiger, a banshee, whatever. I'd love to see a banshee on TV. It'd rip everybody to shreds. The other thing is fire. Fire is not something to be fucked with. Just ask Hulk Hogan when he tried to set off a fireball on the Warrior that one year at Halloween Havoc. So in the ring is a giant box. Jericho says, "Is that for me?" It's like a giant gift box. And Santana and Ortiz said, "Yeah, it's for you." He goes, "I want to know what's inside the box." So they lift the box up, and underneath, inside the box, is Jericho's dad. New York Rangers great Ted Irvine, former New York Ranger hockey player, gets on the mic. He says he's happy to be here in New York City, which of course gets him instant heat. Cheap heat, but it gets him heat nonetheless. And he then buries the Chicago Blackhawks. Tons of Blackhawks chants. He said he used to whip Bobby Hull on the ice. He said the Blackhawks will always be wimps. And he presents custom-made jerseys to the rest of the Inner Circle with the Rangers colors. So this was all great. Jericho then calls Justin Roberts into the ring. He wants Justin Roberts' assistance. And he wants him to help read this official statement from AEW and TNT executives. This is supposed to be his big thank you. So Justin Roberts comes inside. He reads the thank you statement. Jericho, though, he's not impressed. He says, "I don't appreciate the way that you read that." And he smacks him, and then the rest of the Inner Circle beat down Justin Roberts until the members of the marching band outside the ring, they attack. Turns out the marching band was SCU. SCU also beat up Virgil, and I think it was Kazarian even put him in the $1 Million Dream, which I instantly recognized, and I said, "Oh, they're putting Virgil in the $1 Million Dream." Neither one of the announcers even picked up on it. They ignored it. Seriously. You got two guys out there. Not one of them picks up on the fact they just put this guy in the $1 Million Dream. Anyway. I could see why, because I did see some complaints on my timeline from people saying, "Oh, it went too long. They should have shaved off 5 minutes." Maybe. I could see that. But I love this segment. This segment was great. Sometimes these segments, long as they are, they just work. I felt the same way on Raw about the Festival of Friendship segment with Jericho and Kevin Owens. I don't remember exactly how long it went. Yeah, they were out there for a while. It was a long comedy segment, but it worked. Jericho, more than maybe anybody else, comedy and wrestling, especially in WWE, but comedy and wrestling can be very hit or miss. Jericho is the master when it comes to segments like this. More often than not, it's a huge hit. He knows what he's doing when he's out there. I thought this segment, like the Festival of Friendship one, that one paid off with a big twist, a big turn at the end of it. I thought this was fine, and you can't do a 20-minute opening segment like this every week, but it was a special occasion. We knew it was coming. They promoted it a week in advance. It's not like we didn't expect it. But Jericho is just the best. I would argue the greatest free agent signing in wrestling in a decade. So they introduced us to Marco Martinez. They said that he was part of the All Elite Fleet. He was an All Elite Fleet announcer. This was some kind of promotion that they were doing with State Farm Insurance. Tony Schiavone was not on the show this week. He is going to be back next week. And they had this guy Marco Martinez out there. He only did commentary for a match. It felt like, I guess he's a fan. It felt like some kind of fan gimmick. He would have been fine had he actually spoken up. It was hard to hear him. He was very low. I don't know that he's ever done that before, any kind of announcing. But with Justin Roberts out, we had Dasha Bot. Dasha Bot does now work for AEW, and she is Dasha Bot no more. she's actually able to show some more of her personality. I've seen her do other things too. This is not the first time I've seen her. But Dasha Bot was brought out there. She's been rebooted. They have upgraded her operating system. It runs much smoother now. And so she was out there as the ring announcer for the rest of the night. We had the Lucha Bros against the Best Friends, Trent and Chucky, with Orange Cassidy out there with them in a turkey costume here for Thanksgiving. I'm going to be calling a Lucha Bros match at the House of Glory show next Saturday. They are still the House of Glory Tag Team Champions. They have a very unique deal where I guess they are not exclusive to AEW, so that'll be fun to call their match next weekend. Excalibur made a crack in here about them going after that over 50 demo, which was a shot at NXT. NXT's best demo, when the ratings come out every week, their best demographic for NXT is the 50 and over crowd. That's a fact. That's what helped carry them to a victory last week. 50 and over. So they made a little crack about that. Thank you, by the way. I know I've missed a whole bunch of super chats, but I see Anthony Lovell, or Lovell, $20 super chat. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Solomonster. Love the channel, and keep up the great work as always. Well, thank you, Anthony. I appreciate that very much. $20 in the super chat gets you the Russo on a pole. I should have put some feathers on him here for Thanksgiving. So, Lucha Bros and Best Friends. This was set up when Trent beat Pentagon on an episode of AEW Dark. Phoenix hit a destroyer on Trent, got a near fall. Orange Cassidy distracted Pentagon at one point. He also came off the top rope with a giant dive during the match. Cassidy distracts Pentagon. Trent plants Phoenix with the Dude Buster for the win. They didn't really give this too much time, but for the time that it lasted, I thought this was good. This was good for what it was. And surprising, I did not expect the Lucha Bros to eat the loss here, but they did. They did take the loss. We had B. Priestley and Emi Sakura against Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander. Statlander was the standout, I thought, here in this match. I didn't think the match was really that great, to be honest with you. But Statlander, she's very good. She's very good. She was the standout here. I've had the chance to call some of her matches. She is very good. And AEW would be well served to use her more often if they don't sign her. She hit a shooting star press off the apron at one point onto Priestley. Shida later on hit a Falcon Arrow to beat Priestley. Axe kick by Statlander followed by a Michinoku driver to Emi Sakura for a near fall. Sakura won with a crucifix pin on Statlander. Again, not a great match. It had its moments. Mostly, I would say, from Chris Statlander. Cody, the chosen son. Cody was back in action for the first time since Full Gear. He wrestled a man by the name of Matt Nix, spelled the way that the New York Knicks are spelled. Matt Nix had about as much success here in this match as the New York Knicks. Went about a minute. Cody tapped him out with the figure 4 leg lock. Got on the horn, called out MJF. All of a sudden, as Cody is waiting in the ring, and he is calling out Maxwell Jacob Friedman, waiting for him to come out. All of a sudden, out from under the ring, a hole is cut open in the mat. And up comes someone who Excalibur identifies as the Butcher. And for a fleeting second there, I got scared, because when I hear the Butcher, I think of Ed Leslie in WCW. And I said, look, it's all well and good to have Soul Train Jones on the show. I don't think I could handle Soul Train Jones and Brutus the Barber Beefcake on the same show. That would be jumping the shark. Thankfully, Shark, another fucking member of the Dungeon of Doom. They had the Butcher, they had the Shark. Who else did they have? My God, I just got done talking about them in the Sound Off inbox. So, it was not Ed Leslie, thankfully. Up comes the Butcher, and he attacks Cody. And then another person emerges from underneath the ring. And this was the Blade. And I'm thinking, what the fuck is going on here? This is stupid. Then the Bunny comes out. So now we have the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny. The Bunny, they identified as Allie. So they lay out Cody. Excalibur somehow knew who all of these people were. Jim Ross, now I have to say, I side with Jim Ross on this. Sometimes Jim Ross is very confused on these shows, doesn't necessarily get people's names right and stuff. He was confused here, so was I. We all were JR during a good part of this segment. In that, how the hell did Excalibur know who they were and know what their frickin' ring names were when they've never appeared on the show before? And he even said to Excalibur, like, you know who they are? How do you know who they are? He never really explained why. Maybe he's in on it. Maybe Excalibur is in on the whole thing. But I do have some information. The Butcher, he looked familiar to me, and it kind of makes sense with Allie being out there. The Butcher is the former Braxton Sutter from Impact Wrestling. He is married to Allie. So they are a couple. And this I did not know, as some of you pointed out to me in my timeline on Twitter, and I thank you for that. The Blade, who has a kind of a unique look, the whole mustache and everything, he is Andy Williams, who happens to be the lead guitarist for the band Every Time I Die. That's who that was. So, but the fans, of course, had no fucking clue who these people were, and they kind of reacted that way, like, who the hell are these guys? But once the announcers mention Allie as the bunny, I'm going to tell you why this actually makes sense. I mean, it didn't necessarily come off all that great here, but this does make sense. Now, why does it make sense? The last time we saw Allie on Dynamite, Brandy Rhodes had sent Awesome Kong after her to beat her up, and remember she cut off a lock of her hair? So now, Allie, under this new character, brings in these two guys to go after Brandy's husband. Now, I don't know if that's the story, but if it is, then it makes sense. Didn't come off great, but story-wise, if that's how they explain it, it actually does make sense. Now, the other thing about this is that when these guys popped up, I mean, forget the whole Butcher, Ed Leslie thing that scared me for a second. When these guys popped up, I thought to myself, because I couldn't really tell who it was at first, and I wondered, here we are at the end of November, and we've been hearing for months that Marty Scurll's deal with Ring of Honor is up in November. Now, I don't think it's up until November 30th, so technically he might still be under contract, but I thought one of them might be Marty Scurll, until I realized it wasn't. But I wonder if Marty is coming in soon, and you know, if you ask me, Solomonster, where do you think Marty Scurll is going to end up? My guess would be AEW. AEW to me is the safe choice because that's where all of his buddies went, right? He was with Cody and the Young Bucks and Hangman Page, and they all went to start up AEW. You know, Kenny Omega, he was part of that crew. And even still, like on Being the Elite and stuff, I think they make reference to him and everything. So if I had to take a guess, my guess would be that's where he's going to end up. And if so, I wonder if he's not going to be linked up with these guys here. Maybe he comes in as the leader of whatever this group is going to be. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think that would work? Maybe it could be his new version of Villain Enterprises. Shout out again to everybody in the chat right now, joining me here on Thanksgiving Eve. Forget the Survivor Series. This is the new Thanksgiving Eve tradition here. We all go live on YouTube and hang out together and drink bubbly and be merry. Kenny Omega against PAC. I thought this was a very good match. Omega, some highlights here. Omega hit the Terminator dive out to the floor. Had a bit of a rough landing. Did not look, well, it looked like it sucked the way he landed. PAC hit a moonsault off the top rope to the floor. He also hit this crazy top rope Falcon Arrow for a near fall. Went for the Black Arrow, missed it. Omega hit the V-trigger. Tried to go for a one-winged angel. PAC blocked it. Omega ended up using a rolling crucifix for the pin. Kind of a similar outcome to what we saw with the women earlier. Not really a big fan of recycling the same finish on the same show like that, but I'm all for having a finish, you know, even just from time to time, where it's not necessarily someone's finisher. I'm okay with that. Not every match has to end with the person's finishing move. Austin, thank you for the $5 super chat. He says, correction, Butcher was in the Three Faces of Fear. Zodiac was Leslie's Dungeon of Doom. See, and thank you for that. I appreciate the correction. That's how many fucking gimmicks this guy had. I can't even keep track of them. I had no idea. I just assumed it was Dungeon of Doom because it was all goofy bullshit from back then. I stand corrected. We had the Butcher, we had the Zodiac, we had the Booty Man, we had the Disciple, we had Brutus Beefcake, we had the Man with No Name. Remember for a while in WWE he was Run-In Man for a few weeks? Am I missing one here? I feel like I'm missing one. Maybe he's part of the Dark Order. Maybe he's Evil Uno. I'm sure in his older years here, Beefcake's put on a few pounds. How do we know that's not Brutus Beefcake under that mask? And now you're going to go to bed tonight with visions of Brutus Beefcake wearing latex. You're welcome. MJF against Hangman Adam Page for the $45,000 Dynamite Diamond Ring. They said this will be an annual thing, so I guess I don't know that it's going to be defended. They made it sound like you like a King of the Ring. You win it, and you're the Dynamite Diamond Ring holder, I guess, for the year. And until next year, that's kind of that's the way I understood it. I like the inset promos they had for each guy. MJF came out, and they showed an inset promo from the back with him. Adam Page came out, same thing. Earlier promo, cut to him. I like that aspect of it. So we had, I think, a couple of commercials here. Page hit a tope suicida, hit a moonsault to the floor. He connected with the buckshot lariat. MJF had to sort of make his way over to the ropes for this next spot here. Wardlow placed MJF's foot on the ropes. Ref didn't see it, so he saved his boy. MJF then distracted the referee, which allowed Wardlow to hit Adam Page with a right hand. MJF hits his own version of Cody's Crossroads, which actually looked pretty devastating. Just jammed this guy right down on his head. And he got the pin to win the Diamond Ring. No big surprise, I don't think. I mean, this had to be MJF. Diamond Dallas Page came out to present the Diamond Ring to MJF. He said, MJF, your actions have disappointed me. But since I'm the bigger man, literally, I will shake your hand. And of course, instead of accepting, MJF is a dick. He is the Corey Graves of AEW, and so he puts his chewing gum in Page's hand. So they have a little bit of a stare down. Wardlow steps between them. DDP says, look, big man, you're going to look real stupid if you have a 63-year-old guy kicking your ass all over Chicago, and then everything just kind of breaks down at this point. Security comes in. Referees come in. Separate everybody. I thought this was fine. You know, MJF had to win. And now he gets to go around every week on TV and show off his diamond ring and gloat and generally be obnoxious until somebody pops him in the mouth. So it all makes sense. Jen Decker was in the ring interviewing Dustin Rhodes. He still has that cast on his arm. Blames Jake Hager for his broken arm. He's out for blood. He's out for Jake Hager's blood. Sammy Guevara, Santana, Ortiz, they come out. They hit the ring. Young Bucks, Matt Jackson's back. They come out, make the save. Not much else to this. We had another Dark Order propaganda / recruitment video, which I actually like the way these videos are shot, and I think it's something that I don't want to say it's going to get the Dark Order over, but at least now it's not just, here's the Dark Order, ooh. Like, they're trying to explain this group in some way. You know, they're like a cult. They recruit people. They brainwash people. It's something, at least. You know, I answered a question on the Sound Off inbox yesterday. If you didn't see it, it's up on the channel. And somebody asked me about the Dark Order, and hey, what would you think if they brought in, Mil Muertes and Katrina from Lucha Underground? Now, he understands legally that's not possible, not under those names. But what if they could? Would that be the sort of thing that might benefit the Dark Order and make them interesting? And I agreed, and I said yes, especially if it was those two characters. I think my biggest issue with it is that Grayson and Uno, they're really good together as a tag team in the ring. They've impressed me. As characters, I don't give a shit about them. And there's nothing about them that's scary. There's nothing about them that's creepy or intimidating. But if you had, this big badass guy like a Mil Muertes, and you had Katrina, who, I mean, come on, it's Katrina. Come on. If they led the group and Grayson and Uno were sort of the henchmen, if they were the seconds, if they were in the background, then I think it would work more. But them as the leaders of the group, it just doesn't work. I mean, does anybody take them seriously? Does anybody really, do you look at these two guys and think, oh boy, I don't want to mess with these two guys? No. I look at Evil Uno, I think of those Hostel movies. I run the other way, and for very different reasons. I don't want to have anything to do with that. So maybe that's what's missing from the group. Maybe the Butcher and the Blade can link up with the Dark Order. New Jack in the chat. Hopefully not the New Jack. $10 super chat. Happy Thanksgiving. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. And that takes us to the main event. Chris Jericho against Scorpio Sky for the AEW World Championship. So from his big thank you celebration, we now move on to a title defense. Chris Jericho was very busy here on this night. He had a very busy night. We had Jake Hager. I'm skipping ahead here, obviously, but Jake Hager, he ran down to the ring. Scorpio Sky took him out, and Jericho cradled Sky for a 2. Kazarian showed up. Daniel showed up. They went after Hager, basically took Hager out of the picture. Jericho goes to deliver a belt shot to Scorpio Sky. This was great. This was the best part of the match. Because in a match like this, nobody believed that Scorpio Sky was going to win the championship. But these kind of matches are great for Jericho to have on TV because he gets to work with each one of these guys. Right? Some of these guys who aren't necessarily main eventers, he did with Darby Allin even. And I thought Moxley had a much better match with Darby Allin than Jericho did. But Jericho working with people like Scorpio Sky and Darby Allin, and maybe at some point he'll work against Joey Janela or somebody like that. Orange Cassidy. I'm just saying. You know it would get over. I know it would piss people off, but you know at some point if we got a Chris Jericho Orange Cassidy match, that match is getting over. I don't care what city it's in, that match is going to get over in front of this audience. But these are the kind of matches that are fun to watch Jericho in on TV because he gets to work with each guy. Give him a little bit of rub. He gets some title wins under his belt. Eventually he's going to drop it to some, whether it's Moxley or Omega. I'm thinking Omega. He's going to drop it to one of them. Not dropping it to these guys. You get a championship match on TV. So what's great about these matches is you get that one big near fall. Where even if just for a split second, people buy into it, you kind of get them hooked. It's like, I thought he died. Like, I didn't really believe he was going to win. But in that moment, I kind of thought he might. Well, we had a spot like that here. Jericho went for a belt shot. Sky turned it into a TKO for a very near fall. Crowd came alive for that. So they're fully behind Scorpio Sky at this point. And they're doing a few more spots back and forth. Code Breaker, another very good near fall. Goes for the Judas effect. Countered into a cradle for a 2 count. And Jericho then counters that into the walls of Jericho. Scorpio Sky can do nothing but tap out. And Le Champion retains his title here in the main event. Put him in another Lion Tamer when the match was over. All of a sudden we hear Jon Moxley's music. And Moxley comes, he's in the crowd. And he just stands there. We have a stare down from afar. Moxley in the crowd, Jericho in the ring. They're trying to kill time until it's time to go off the air. Moxley's walking a little bit further down, He never got in the ring. I mean, maybe he did after they went off the air. But this is how they went off the air here on the show. So they're teasing that Moxley might be next in line. Which he probably should be. I don't know what the rankings are. I haven't seen the latest rankings. He's got to be number 1, right? Number 1, number 2. He beat Omega. Although I guess that didn't count, did it? I guess not. Lights out match, non-sanctioned. Doesn't count towards the standings. Well, he beat Darby Allin. Omega tonight, he beat PAC, so it's got to be neck and neck between those two. I thought overall the show was very enjoyable. Not their strongest show, but I love the hell out of that opening segment. You can't do a long talking comedy segment like that every week, but I thought that was fantastic. I thought it was great. Got over really well. in front of this crowd. It was Cheap Heat with his dad, but I thought that was great too. And plus, you got to think, I don't think that Jericho's ever worked a segment on TV, even in WWE, with his dad. I can't remember one. I'm trying to think. I don't think we've ever had a segment on TV with Jericho and Ted Irvine. So for Jericho, I'm sure that was a big thrill for him. So anyway, I enjoyed it. Just a Rican and his comics. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Wrestling Buff wants to know, when's the next AEW pay-per-view? That's a good question. I don't know. I assume sometime in February. I have not heard that. I have not read that anywhere. I just think that would make sense. You want to avoid January, not just for Royal Rumble. You got the Jericho Cruise, Bash at the Beach episode of Dynamite, so I don't think they need to do a pay-per-view in January. It's got to be February or March, right? See, the thing is, AEW, I think, is only going to have about 4 pay-per-views a year. Now, if All Out is going to be a regular thing, that's what? Labor Day weekend. We know Double or Nothing is going to be Memorial Day weekend in Vegas. That's 2. If Full Gear is going to be an annual thing, and God, I hope it isn't, that would be November. That leaves 1 more show. Now, if you have a pay-per-view in May, you've got to have some separation there. March? Probably cutting it a little too close. I'd say February would probably make sense. But I don't believe they've officially announced anything yet. So let's check the polls. Let's see what you guys think of the shows tonight. Let's go to AEW first. And so far, there you see the results. Over 1,200 votes in. 72% thumbs up. 28% thumbs down. That's actually a higher thumbs down percentage than usual. Still overall positive score, but a little more negative than usual. Let's take a look at the NXT poll. Wow. Not that different. Not that different. Only 724 votes so far. 77% thumbs up. 23% thumbs down. So what was the AEW one? 72 to 28. 77 to 23. So NXT is winning so far. Fewer votes, but 77 to 23 is a better percentage than the AEW show. So there you go. I mean, it's still early in the night. These polls haven't even been up for a full hour yet. But there you go. And if you want to vote, again, at Solomonster is the handle on Twitter. Polls are going to be open for a couple of days, so you can head on over and cast your vote for which show you thought... well, it's not even that which show you thought was better. If you watch both shows, I want to know what you thought. You can vote in both polls, whether you watch AEW and not NXT or vice versa. I don't care. But let your voice be heard. Speaking of letting your voices be heard, we had a couple of people who were at the show tonight. They were at the show. We had, Glenn and Willie. And I don't know, I think we might have one of them calling in right now. I did tell him to call in because it's always cool to get the live perspective from people who were there. So I don't know if this is him or not, but I think it might be. So I want to throw this over to area code 407 right now and find out if this is in fact Glenn. Glenn, is this you?
What's up? What's up, Jason?
What's going on, Glenn? How are you doing?
Good. AEW Dark descended. I'm back in my car. Trying to beat the rush. What's up?
So what were the matches for... I mean, don't give us the results, but what are the matches that we can expect for Dark next week?
Okay, there was 3 of them. The first match was Brandon Cutler versus Jimmy Havoc.
All right.
Second match was Sonny Kiss versus Sean Spears. Third match was Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt versus Pride and Powerful, which I believe was the match of Dark. That was the match of of the 3. That was the match.
Did they give him a good amount of time? Like, how long was the match?
I think, say maybe like 15 minutes. It was pretty good.
All right.
I mean, I have my favorite moment of that match. I don't know if you want to hear it or not, but
Well, we'll hold off on it just because I don't want to spoil it. If anybody is going to watch it next week, we'll let them watch it. I just wanted to get a sense of what the matches were. I mean, to me, when you just told me that card doesn't sound very, really exciting at all, except the main event. I think the main event probably was very good.
Oh yeah, to me it was the match of the main event. Match of the dark. That was the match.
Well, let me point out to you. I did not. I know you came to the show with a bunch of signs. You said you were going to come with 5 signs. One of which was an MJF. One of which was an MJF themed sign that had the Sound Off logo. I did not see that, unless I missed it. I did not see that at all. But I did see you holding up your Chris Jericho sign.
Yeah, I believe that made the first segment, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, just give me your top line thoughts, what you thought of the show overall tonight.
So I'll tell you, I was driving to Sears Center, and when I got there, I was like, first thought in my mind was like, wow, I'm in enemy territory. This is enemy territory. Now, I've always gone to WWE events. I've been to one TNA event. So I haven't been to many, events other than WWE. So for me, it was like, wow, this is like an enemy territory. I'm invading, you know what I mean? Like, it felt like that. But, for me, the opener was spoiled because everything was in the ring. Like, when people were walking in, the ring was already set up. So I already knew what the main, the opener would be, and that was Chris Jericho's celebration. So, but other than that, the crowd was hot. You still had your typical woo chants, which I don't know who that's toward in AEW. Who does the woo?
Well, it's kind of universal now, I think.
Yeah.
All right, so but on the whole, you enjoyed it though, because I know you were looking forward to this. You were sending me messages. I know you were looking forward to this for a while. But on the whole, like, you would go to another show, I assume, if they came back to town.
Totally. Now, for me, it's like a 40-minute drive, so, you know what I mean? To where Allstate Arena is like a 20-minute drive. But, yeah, I mean, the seat, I don't know if you saw the seat that I sent you a photo of it, but I don't know if you saw it. The seat that I got was pretty damn good seat. It was behind the barricade where Moxley would walk, like behind the first set of crowd. It was the first row of the stands, of the bleachers, off the floor. So I like that because I'm not fifth row on the floor and having to have my head up, to see what's there. I'm above the floor a little bit.
All right, well, that's cool. No, look, in the Sears Center, I don't think is that big of a building. It's not like the Allstate Arena, so I would have to think that unless you're up in the top level of the building, there probably isn't a lot of what I would call bad seats in that building.
No, and I don't think there was many bad seats in Allstate Arena. None of them are really big arenas.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I've been to WrestleManias where everybody looks like fucking ants, from where I'm sitting looking at them. And then this year I had that issue where they have these giant spotlights. I'm trying to watch Randy Orton wrestle AJ Styles, and now my retinas are being burned because I can't even see. So the stadium shows, while I'm sure they look great on TV, if you're there live, unless you're in the front section, you can barely see anything. So when it comes to these smaller buildings, it's generally a more enjoyable experience.
Correct. And now I'm going to spoil, not what you think, but I'm going to spoil I like that, AEW is great, but I'm going to spoil a little bit for AEW fans. So before the show even started, you had security handing out wristbands for people that were in different sections to fill up the camera angle. So yeah, where I was sitting was camera side. Opposite of me, almost the entire second balcony, the upper floor was almost empty. So I would say it was about 65% maybe full. It wasn't sold out at all, the show.
Well, look, I don't think a lot of the shows lately have been sold out, but whatever they're doing, I compared it once to TNA. When TNA went out on the road a number of years ago, and it didn't last very long, they were not selling out buildings at all. The one thing I will always give them credit for, whatever they were doing, they were the masters of making those buildings look jam-packed on television. They would herd people like cattle into the sections so that when you watch the show on TV, it looked like the place was sold out. And then you would read online that they had 2,000 people, if that, in the building. So I don't think AEW is having the same issues that Impact was having. But yeah, they're not selling out every show, so they have to do that. It's like WWE for some of these SmackDown tapings. You know, you can't tell watching at home. Half the building is empty, but they get everybody on the one side, and it looks great on TV. So it sucks.
Correct.
Because, again, 20 years ago, you didn't have that problem. You know, WCW and WWE were packing buildings in like nothing every single week. I say it all the time. Wrestling is still fun sometimes, but it's not as hot as it once was. And we hear stories like that every week. So anyway, I'm glad you had fun. I'm glad you enjoyed the show.
Can I say one more thing?
Real quick, and then real quick, then we'll wrap it up.
Okay, after whatever happened with the Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, and Dustin Rhodes, after that, was the promo that Matt Jackson cut on TV, or was it not on TV?
I don't believe, unless I turned away, I don't believe it was on TV.
Okay, so the Young Bucks cut a promo on the stage, basically saying, you know, after whatever happened, the Sears Center feels like home, like that kind of promo. So that was really cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes sense.
Agree.
The
Sears Center to them is home.
Yeah, that was all in. That was where it all began. They ran that building, so you know they have to kind of go back there every year. That's almost like their home base now.
Yeah.
All right,
basically.
Cool. Well, awesome. I appreciate the live account. I'm glad you had fun, and we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, you should go see an AEW show. I know you probably haven't, right?
Well, I was at Double or Nothing. I was in Vegas in May.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
I put videos all over the place.
All right.
All right. Have a good
night. Thanks for calling.
All right. Thank you. Well, I didn't call. You called me. I didn't call you. Anyway, he had a good time. His adrenaline is pumping. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Let's go to Rochester, New York. 585. You're on the air.
Solomonster.
What's going on?
What's going on, bro, man? Been listening for about 2 years now. Big fan, man.
Thank you, man. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you. Now, I love my AEW, man, but I hate how they are presenting this women's division. They're giving them no microphone time. These tag teams, these random tag teams they putting together, that is the only thing that throws me off of the show with this women's division. I know Cody said he's having problems. There was problems with visas and everything. Have you heard anything new that'll help this pick up?
I haven't heard anything new. I mean, I've heard that they have other women that we haven't seen yet, but I would think, I mean, we're 8 weeks in now. We haven't seen. I mean, we've seen a few new faces. We've seen Chris Statlander, I think, a couple times. But yeah, the women's division, I would say, is the weak link right now of this company. They have a few good women, but they gotta spice it up somehow here. It's like the opposite of what their tag team division is.
Right, and that's just my only thing, because I watched AEW Dark the other night, and Big Swole had the match against Shanna, and it was a nice promo package for Shanna, and then Big Swole reacted to that with a great promo backstage. Like, stuff like that should just be put on TV so we can see, you know, where the beefs come from. And, you know, that's the only thing about my AEW right now.
Yeah, and I heard that was a really good match. I haven't seen it yet, but I heard that was a really good match.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was the only thing I wanted to get off my chest about AEW.
Maybe I heard wrong. I was of the impression that it was
No, it was good.
Okay.
Good match.
You seem to hesitate there a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. Oh, no. That was a good match. I enjoy watching Shannon, what I've seen of her, and Big Swole is amazing. So, yeah, that was really good.
All right, awesome. Anything else? I want to just move along here. Anything else?
That's it, man.
Awesome.
Thanks for the call.
Thank you, my friend.
Yep.
Let's go to 980. Area code 980. You're on the air.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, Solomonster.
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing much. I thought tonight was a pretty good episode of AEW. I thought, though, that like the thing that made the episode really suffer the most was the lack of Tony Schiavone on commentary.
Yeah, I missed Tony.
Jim lost.
He was missed.
Yeah. Jim lost multiple occasions, and this has kind of become a habit, made multiple mistakes on commentary. One point, he referred to Trent Beretta as Matt Taven. He doesn't even work for the company. And And at one point,
I didn't pick up on that. Did he really call him Matt Taven? Wait, hold on. He called him Matt Taven? How did I not hear? Are you sure?
He did.
Oh my! Well, that is. Look, I don't want to be hard on JR because look, he's getting older, and it's a new promotion with new people he's not overly familiar with. But yeah, I would say that if you're calling people by the names of stars from other companies, yeah, that's probably not a good thing.
And of course, that wasn't the only mistake he made. He made the mistake of when Amy Sakura made her entrance. He accidentally called her an Oriental, which he corrected. Do you think there's a way that AEW could perhaps try to prevent Jim Ross making the mistakes he's making on commentary? Because I think he still has a lot to offer. He's not a bad commentator. It's just that sometimes he makes mistakes.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything they can do. I mean, it's a weird situation because I think everybody respects Jim Ross. And look, in a lot of ways, Jim Ross, you could argue that Jim Ross, when you have these big time matches, and we had the MJF turn, right, a few weeks ago, and I thought he was great during that segment. When that happened, we kind of got glimpses into what made Jim Ross so memorable with all those big moments, like in the Attitude Era. He could really put over if somebody betrayed somebody. Oh, that son of a bitch. Nobody, even today, does that the way that Jim Ross does. But in the match-to-match, segment-to-segment, especially with matches that he's not really that into, people he may not be that familiar with, he makes mistakes. So if you're AEW management, it's a tough conversation to have, because what exactly do you say? How do you pull somebody over like that and have a conversation with him, because there's no real easy way to have that conversation. And people do make mistakes. But if he's calling people Matt Taven, or if he's going to come out next week, and call somebody Keith Lee, then yeah, that's going to become a problem. If he's just mistaking names here and there and it's not a big deal, I think you just let it slide, almost out of respect. But the Matt Taven thing, I didn't hear that. I did not pick up on that. That is hilarious. Wow. Well, anyway, that's my simple answer. Honestly, to the question is, I don't really think there's much that they can do. His value to them is not. Look, his value to them stretches beyond just announcing. They brought him in, I'm sure, to be more than just an announcer. He probably advises them and gives them advice. He may still be in communication with people outside the company. He could end up being a great recruiter for them. He may have had, I don't know if he had anything to do with Chris Jericho coming in. He may have. Now, we heard CM Punk on WWE Backstage last week. When they asked him, did you hear from people after you showed up last week? He said, no, not really. He goes, one of the few people I still text message with is Jim Ross. Well, who's to say that down the road at some point, maybe his Fox deal wouldn't allow for it, but maybe Jim Ross can play a role in trying to get CM Punk to come to AEW at some point. And who knows who else might be texting with Jim Ross. So I think he brings a lot of value to the promotion. His announcing is what it is. He still in a lot of ways is one of the best, but then you have moments like that which are embarrassing and shouldn't be happening. That's really all there is to say about it. Let's take a few more here. We'll go to area code 508.
Hey, Solomonster.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, thank you. I love your podcast every week.
Thank you. Wow. High energy here.
This is Alec.
How you doing?
Oh, good. I was wondering, since Primo and Epico Colon went back to Puerto Rico for WWC, do you see them going to MLW or AEW or hell, even NWA?
I don't know if that's something they would even want to do. I mean, they're working in their home promotion. That seems to be the best place for them. I don't know. I mean, WWE, I guess those days are over. They're no longer with WWE. That kind of ended quietly. They could be.
Yeah, I kind of miss watching them on TV. They were never on SmackDown much.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, WWE just wasn't using them hardly at all. And I think people forget that they are a talented tag team. So if you were to just add them as sort of like I hate to say mid-level, but like a mid-level tag team in the AEW tag team division, and they got to show things that they were not really able to show in WWE, I think they could be a solid addition to the tag team division. But the question is there interest in bringing them in? And do they want to go sign another contract? Like they had a contract with WWE. They may just be happy working, for their home promotion.
And another thing, why don't AEW and MLW look for talent in Puerto Rico? There's some good wrestlers in Puerto Rico, not just have Japanese talent. Because most of the time, Japanese wrestling is boring.
Well, I mean, how do you know that they don't already look for talent in Puerto Rico? Maybe they have scouts in Puerto Rico, you just don't know it.
Like BJ, like 450 Mecha Wolf.
Well,
West Side Mafia.
Wait, but 450 though. I mean, he's had some controversy following him in his career. If it's the 450 I'm thinking of.
Yes, 450 Mecha Wolf. He's a good wrestler.
Oh, I'm not doubting he's a good wrestler. When I hear his name, I've heard his name a few times, and usually there's been some controversy attached to it.
And what's up with Ring of Honor? I posted on on the Solomonster page. They only have like the blue seats available still.
For what exactly?
For their final pay-per-view. Now, I don't know how they're gonna get people to go pay to watch their show if it comes on the same time as Friday Night SmackDown.
Well, I mean that's going to be tough. I mean they're doing it also outside of New York City for the first time in many years. I think they're doing it in Baltimore, which is their home base. I haven't checked to see how ticket sales are going. Now, are you saying that they only have one section left? Because that would indicate that ticket sales have picked up from the last time I saw.
No, it's like there's like on other sites they show like the blue. There's like a lot of tickets not sold.
Oh yeah, well of course. No, that's been the case now for weeks. They're not selling hardly any tickets for the show. Ring of Honor's got a lot of problems. I'm gonna let you go right now, but Ring of Honor has a lot of problems. And I talked about Ring of Honor in the clip. You can find it on the channel. The whole thing, the whole situation, the Newsweek story kind of blew things open a little bit. And I saw Silas Young came out and he had his own rebuttal. Oh, no, don't believe everything you read. Things aren't as bad. Look, I'm sure Silas Young is not lying and he feels fairly and maybe he's been treated and paid very well. That doesn't mean it extends to everybody else on the roster. And there have been other people who have come out and said that that's not the case. So the truth probably falls somewhere in the middle, but the fact is that Ring of Honor, you look at where Ring of Honor was a number of years ago, you look at where they are now, and they have fallen. It has been a sad fall for Ring of Honor. And AEW has not helped matters because AEW, it's the new kid on the block, and they've got a much better TV deal. Sinclair can buy up all the little affiliates they want to around the country and throw Ring of Honor on there, and that's great. The more affiliates they buy up, the more exposure for Ring of Honor. But that's not being live on TNT. So Ring of Honor has a very big problem right now in that there's no buzz around the product. And now they're dealing with media stories claiming that they don't take care of their talent. Talent's complaining about safety issues. They have a Women of Honor champion that they basically they're letting her go, but they're basically firing her. I don't know what that means for the future of their women's division, which has never been strong. I mean, at this point, they may as well just abandon the whole thing if they're not going to take it seriously. So, Final Battle not selling well? Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me at all. 407, you're on the air. 407, hello. Going once, going twice.
Can you hear me?
Oh, boy. I just cut him off. Why do people do that at the last second? At the very last second. Try calling back. Let's go to... Oh, always happens. 562. You're on the air.
Hey, Solomonster, how's it going?
Good. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too, bud. You too, man.
Thank you.
I'm happy, bud. So, hey, Solomonster, I got a question.
Sure. Well, that's why I put you on. What's your question?
Okay, so my question, man, about to say, I've been a wrestling fan for a very long time, bro. So I gotta tell you about WWE. So one of my favorite wrestlers growing up in WWE has to be The Rock, Stone Cold, Triple H, Chris Jericho, and also the tag team, the Dudley Boys, Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, and also like they're the greatest. And also like my favorite wrestler right now in WWE is Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. And also in AEW, my favorite wrestler in AEW is Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks, and of course Jericho, Chris Jericho, and definitely I really like the Powerful.
Okay, is this going somewhere?
What's up?
Is this going somewhere? I'm just trying to figure out what the question is.
Oh, my question about AEW.
Okay.
AEW.
Go for it.
So I gotta tell you about AEW Full Gear. Like to me, Full Gear, it was the best pay-per-view about Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega with the barbed wire match. Like, oh, it was an amazing match, bro. Like, I love that match a lot. Like, seeing the barbed wires and glass and everything. Like, wow. Like, it reminds me of the old ECW days, like Tommy Dreamer, Sabu, and also who else? RVD too. Like, man, one of the best matches ever in pay-per-view. Like I heard, like I remember you said like on the video, like we're never gonna see a match in WWE again.
Yeah, I mean, look, I heard from a lot of people. There was a lot of divided opinion on that Omega Moxley match. Me personally, I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I had friends who loved the hell out of it. They love the violence and everything else because they don't get to see that in WWE. Which that I get, right? Yeah, that I understand because you really, if you're only a WWE person and you see Extreme Rules matches and then you watch what this match was in AEW, that's what a real extreme match looks like. So I can understand that. So it's not surprising to me. But what's the main question that you had?
The main question I'm about to have is the Lucha Bros match. What happened tonight? I really like Pentagon's mask. He's wearing a Venom mask from the bad guy from Spider-Man.
I noticed that.
Like, yes. It was so amazing. Yeah, it was so dope looking. I really like the way it looks. And definitely, I really like Ricochet's uniform in Survivor Series that Sunday. He was wearing the Batman Beyond costume. It was amazing. Yeah.
Well, he
so amazing.
Yeah, he's worn a few different superhero costumes. I think even the pay-per-view before that. So anyway.
Yeah, he wore the Nightwing costume back in SummerSlam. Back in August. Like, it was amazing seeing that. And to me, like, I think he knows a lot about comic books. Are you into comic books, bud?
I used to read them when I was a kid. I fell out of them a number of years ago.
Oh, so you're still into it still?
Well, no, not really.
Not really?
No.
All right.
No.
All right. I'm still into it because I grew up loving comic books. Yeah.
Well, hey, a lot of kids do. Well, listen, I'm going to let you go because I got other callers here, but I appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, for sure, man. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way, bud.
Thank you. You too, my friend.
Yeah, all right. Take care of yourself, man.
You too. Okay. Let's go to 630. You're on the air. 630 going once. 630 going twice. 630 is gone. All right, let's do this. This will be our last attempt here. I'm trying to get to as many as I can, but if you're not going to be quick on the call, I got to move on. We got somebody. This actually might be the person who I accidentally hung up on. I hope it is because I feel bad about that. 407, you're on the air.
Hey, Solomonster. Can you hear me?
Hey, now did you try calling in before?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. I feel better now because I heard you at the very last second. And I had already hit the button, so I'm glad you called back.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I made myself an accident. But anyway, I just want to make a comment about AEW and also have two quick questions. And the show overall, I thought was like maybe the weakest show in like a month, considering the last few weeks. I feel like AEW Dynamite been pretty good. No, granted, there were some moments that were good, like the opening segment, like you mentioned, the Omega and PAC match, and of course the main event. But one of my questions is, where's Rio? I haven't seen her like about since Full Gear. Like, is she hurt or something?
Well, I thought wasn't she on TV? She wasn't on TV last week.
Not that I recall.
Well, Full Gear was only on November 9th. Today's what, the 27th. I could have sworn we saw her at least once after that pay-per-view. I mean, maybe not. I don't know where she is. I haven't heard she's hurt or anything like that. It's possible they're just keeping her off television until they have a new challenger for her. You know, one of the things I think they have to do, get some more of these women on TV, establish who they are, and start building up the next challenger, the next number one contender. We don't need to see the champion on the show every week. So if they're just holding her back, I'm okay with that. I don't think we need to see her on TV every week.
Yeah, that's true. That's a fair point. And my other question is, do you think, with regard to Jim Cornette and the whole NWA situation, I feel like the comment alone, about the fried chicken and all that wasn't the reason why wasn't the only reason why he got fired. I feel like with him, it's just a growing controversy. I know you mentioned about the whole, I was telling a fan to commit suicide earlier this month, and also the whole calling Justin Roberts basically a pedophile. And I feel like with the NWA, it's like Jim Cornette just keeps shooting himself in the foot, getting too much controversy to the point where it just becomes more of a burden than becomes an asset. And do you think maybe, it was just so many different things that it had to let him go, basically?
Yeah, I have a little more insight into the situation. I mean, I don't want to talk about it, but it was a combination of things. It was a combination of things. And this was sort of the tipping point. It's like you get to the edge of the cliff, and then that one little thing, and you kind of fall over. And that's what this was. And when I talked about it on the show, and I know a lot of people disagreed with me, and that's cool. That's cool if you disagree. My whole point was getting away from the joke and everything else. I'm just looking at it from the company perspective. When you have to apologize for somebody twice in 1 month, it's time to part ways. Because maybe he just doesn't fit with you. You don't fit with him. It's like a bad relationship. You know that it's going to happen again. You got a live pay-per-view coming up. It ain't worth it. Just go your separate ways. So that's why I said it had to happen that way. And hopefully now everybody will be... And I haven't even watched the latest NWA yet. I have to catch up with the latest episode. I saw a lot of negative feedback to the episode. And I'm not entirely sure that the episode that you saw was because of the Cornette situation. I know there was like one match on the show and it was mostly promos and, video packages and stuff. I don't know that they have enough matches taped. I think it was supposed to be this way now that we've got, a couple weeks left before the pay-per-view. So this might have been the plan all along. I'm not 100% sure about that. I'm going to watch it myself and see. Kind of sucks there was only one match, but I'll watch it and judge, and then I'll talk more about it on Sunday. So thank you to everybody who called in, and I think after some of those calls, I'm going to need a little bit of the bubbly here in a little bit. That's what I'm going to be doing here for the rest of my night. So thank you again to everybody. Let's check the polls real quick. Now that we've got some more votes in, we can see where these two shows stand. And then we will see who is in the lead right now. AEW poll, almost 1,500 votes. 71 up, 29 down. Let's check the NXT poll. 77 up, 23 down. That can't be right. 724 votes. Believe that is the same vote total as before. Should have updated. Well, maybe that is the current total. So we got twice as many votes right now for AEW, but NXT seems to be winning in the percentage battle. So that's where things stand right now. I'm going to be very curious to see these ratings. I don't know that we're getting any ratings tomorrow because it's Thanksgiving, so we'll probably have to wait until Friday. I almost feel like you could just throw this week out because it is a holiday. A lot of people right now are traveling. Look, they say Thanksgiving. I think, is it Thanksgiving Eve or Thanksgiving Day? I think they say Thanksgiving Eve is the worst travel day of the year. So there are people who are already on the road, heading to family. All the people listening right now who don't live in the U.S. are like, what is this Thanksgiving thing that you're talking about? But yes, today is one of, if not the biggest travel day of the year. So I would almost say whatever the hell the numbers look like this week, next week is sort of the numbers to look at as far as where things stand in this head-to-head battle between the two companies. That slide you see on your screen right now, I want to just give one reminder, which I haven't mentioned it at all, and I probably should mention it more often. There is an ongoing Black Friday sale right now on ProWrestlingTees.com. It's going through, I believe, when's December 1st is what, Sunday? I believe it's Sunday. You can get 20% off all of the shirts in the Sound Off store, including that one. That's the 12-year anniversary shirt, 12-year anniversary logo shirt. Go to ProWrestlingTees.com/Solomonster Sounds Off. You don't need any promo code. Just go to the page and buy whatever you want, or you can go to other people's stores and buy whatever you want, and you can get 20% off shirts through this weekend. So I did want to make sure I mentioned that at least once here before we ended the stream. As we part ways here, I'm gonna head out here. I want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody listening. If you are celebrating, which if you're in this country, I guess that applies to you. I said it on the podcast on Sunday. I am thankful for all of the support that I got all year long from you guys and all of these streams. You know, this is probably, let's see, how many streams have I done here? AEW streams. This has got to be, not counting the pay-per-views, the 8th maybe Dynamite stream that I've done, 8 or 9, something like that. And they've all been very successful. I'm very happy with how they've done. You know, we got some weeks are bigger than others, but very happy with how they are performing. And I'm still happy with Dynamite. They haven't pissed me off yet. I'm sure in due time they'll do something, but I'm enjoying the show week to week. And the Jericho stuff tonight was easily the highlight of the show. So if you did not see the Sound Off inbox I recorded, I did over 40 minutes answering your questions. Episode 2 on video. Sound Off inbox. It's right here on this channel. If you missed it, go back. That's my Thanksgiving gift to all of you. You can go back and spend 40 minutes listening to me answering your questions. And then we will be back on Sunday with episode 628 of the Sound Off, because the work never ends. Thank you again. Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Hope you all have a great holiday. Eat a lot of turkey and get some sleep, because I know I need it. But first, on to the bubbly. Have a good night, guys.